How many times have you found yourself quietly hoping that, if only you were good enough, if only you could become a little more, do a little better, give a little more, someone would choose to stay? How many times have you tried to reshape yourself, molding your edges to fit the silhouette of another's expectations, believing that love is something to be earned through self-sacrifice and endless adaptation? Beneath all of these questions, a gentle truth hums. Love, in its purest form, is not something to be chased nor bargained for. As Carl Jung so quietly reminds us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Love is not out there, waiting to be found. It is drawn to you, as you return to the sanctuary within yourself. Imagine for a moment a child standing in the quiet hush of an empty room. Rain traces silvered lines across the glass, and the child's small face is pressed against the window, eyes searching for a figure who never comes. Time slips by, but the child waits, heart quietly echoing the hope that someone will return, will see them, will love them enough to stay. Many of us grow older, but never quite outgrow this posture of longing. Somewhere within, we still wait at the window, hoping that if we love deeply enough, if we give ceaselessly, the other will not leave. We carry this silent child into our relationships, stepping again and again into the same circles of hope and heartbreak. We mistake the ache of old wounds for the promise of new love, believing that if we just try harder, hold on tighter, the ache will finally dissolve. So we enter relationships as if stepping onto a stage, performing versions of ourselves we hope will be most loved. We shrink parts of who we are, mute our needs, and stretch ourselves thin in the name of keeping love close. Each time we bargain with our own hearts, trading authenticity for attachment. But true love is not a currency exchanged for approval or belonging. It does not require us to fracture ourselves or betray our quiet truths. The deepest, most abiding love arrives not as a reward for perfection, but as a gift we attract when we finally return to ourselves, whole, imperfect, and real. Carl Jung's wisdom asks us to peer into the places within we have long kept hidden, the shadowed corners of our psyche where unmet needs and unhealed wounds quietly wait. The shadow, as Jung names it, is the collection of all that we have rejected or denied in ourselves. Our pain, our longing, our anger, our tenderness. When we are not loved in the way we needed, we learn to turn away from these parts, believing them unworthy of acceptance. We become skilled at pleasing, at performing, at earning love, convinced that our value is conditional. These beliefs, quietly seeded in childhood, grow roots deep within the soil of our subconscious. They shape our choices, the partners we are drawn to, the patterns we repeat. Have you ever wondered why certain relationships feel so hauntingly familiar, as if you are reliving an old story? It is not always love that calls us, but the echo of an ancient wound, ready to be re-experienced in the hope of finally being healed. Our subconscious, rich with forgotten memories and silent fears, becomes the compass by which we navigate intimacy. We do not love with our conscious minds alone. We love with our entire history, every unspoken need, every uncried tear, every longing we have ever tucked away. When our subconscious is filled with unhealed pain, love feels like hunger, a desperate need to be filled, soothed, completed by another. But when we begin the work of healing, love transforms. It becomes less about seeking and more about sharing, less about need and more about presence. This work, returning to our own shadows, listening to the voice of the inner child, gently untying the knots of old stories, is not easy, but it is the pathway to a different kind of love. It begins with listening, not to the noisy demands of the world, but to the soft, persistent whisper within, the part of you that longs to be seen, to be understood, to be held. Healing asks that you sit quietly with your pain, not to fix it or make it disappear, but to offer it the simple gift of your presence. It asks you to turn toward the parts of yourself you have long tried to outgrow or abandon, and to welcome them home with compassion. The journey to self-love is not a quest for a perfect version of yourself. It is not about becoming someone who is never afraid, never lonely, never flawed. Rather, it is the gentle art of meeting yourself as you are, moment by moment, and offering kindness instead of criticism, curiosity instead of judgment. As you do this, something softens within. The hunger for validation from others begins to ease. You no longer seek out relationships to fill the emptiness inside, but to share the fullness you have cultivated within. You stop searching for someone to fix you, to complete you, or to rescue you from your loneliness. Instead, you become your own safe haven, your own steady companion. When you love yourself enough, you no longer chase after love. You become magnetic to those who are drawn to your authenticity, your wholeness, your quiet confidence. The right person does not arrive because you have perfected yourself, but because you have finally allowed yourself to be seen, as you are, shadows and all. Love ceases to be a transaction or a test, and becomes a meeting of two souls who are each responsible for their own healing, each committed to their own growth. In this space, love flows freely, unburdened by expectation or fear, and so you are invited to begin, to listen for the quiet voice within, the one that has been waiting for your attention, to sit with your discomfort, your longing, your fear, not as enemies to be vanquished, but as children to be held, to notice the patterns you repeat, the stories you tell yourself about love, worth, and belonging, to gently question whether these stories serve you or whether it is time to write new ones, to practice forgiveness for yourself and for those who could not love you as you needed, to offer yourself the patience you so willingly extend to others. As you do this inner work, something subtle and profound begins to shift. You find yourself less reactive, less desperate for approval, less afraid of being alone. You notice that your boundaries become clearer, not as walls to keep others out, but as invitations for respect. You become less willing to abandon yourself for the comfort of another. You begin to trust your intuition, to honor your needs, to speak your truth. Even when your voice trembles, you realize that the love you have sought in others is the very love you are learning to offer yourself. In this state of wholeness, the right person is drawn to you, not because you are without wounds, but because you have faced them with courage. Not because you are never afraid, but because you are willing to meet your fear with compassion. They do not come to complete you, but to walk beside you, each of you whole unto yourselves. Love, then, is not a fixing of what is broken, but a celebration of what is real. It is not the end of longing, but the transformation of longing into connection, presence, and shared growth. Remember, the right person does not arrive to finally make you feel worthy. Worthiness is not something they can give. It is something you claim for yourself, in the quiet moments when you dare to see yourself clearly and love yourself anyway. Sometimes, the right person you have been waiting for is the one you become when you stop waiting and start living fully, bravely, authentically. The greatest love of all is the one you offer yourself, the courage to look within, to meet your own gaze without flinching, to greet every part of your being with tenderness. So let the light filter in, softly illuminating the spaces within you that have long been shrouded in shadow. Let yourself rest just for a moment in the knowledge that you are enough. Not when you are perfect, not when you are chosen by another, but right now, as you are. Breathe deeply, returning again and again to the present moment, to the truth that healing is not a destination, but a way of being. Allow yourself to be the source of your own comfort, the keeper of your own heart. As the sun sets and the world quiets, remember that love is not waiting somewhere outside of you. It is already here, in the gentle way you speak to yourself, in the patience with which you tend to your wounds, in the courage with which you face each new day. The journey of loving yourself is the journey of coming home. To the child waiting at the window, to the shadow longing to be seen, to the wholeness that has always been yours. And in this homecoming, you become the light that attracts love effortlessly, a love that is drawn to your truth, your softness, your strength. The right person will find you, not because you are searching, but because you are shining. And as you walk together, each on your own path of healing, you will discover that true love is not about finding someone to complete you, but about walking side by side, each whole, each free, each deeply, beautifully enough. Let this be your invitation to love yourself as you are, to trust the wisdom of your own heart, and to believe even in the quietest moments that you are worthy of the love you seek. For in loving yourself enough, you will attract not only the right person, but the life and love you have always deserved.